So hello and welcome, and this will be the first lesson. Our first few videos will basically be a crash course in certain algebraic concepts, so I want you to work with me there on. Okay, so let's get a whiteboard running and let's see what we can start with. Thin pen, let's make it blue. Blue is nice. Okay, so in our crash course we want to talk about expressions that are algebraic expressions, and also I'm going to talk about factors and then expressions and factors. Okay, and at the same time I also want to say a little bit of words about equations. That looks very bad. So I also want to talk about some equations. So let's get started. Let's talk about expressions. Now, algebraic expressions are very important because they differ from equations. And firstly, an expression does not have an equal to sign. An equals to sign. Okay, and let's look at a few examples thereof. So I'm going to put them over here. I'll put our first example there, and I'm going to say that 2m is an algebraic expression. Similarly, 2m plus 3n is also an algebraic expression. And let's do another one. 2m squared plus 4m minus 6. That's also an algebraic expression. Okay, so as you can see as a pattern, we are showing you a few different ones. And why didn't I put one in that involves some fractions like 3 over y? And let's make it y over 3 just for the sake of simplicity. Okay, y over 3 plus x over 9. And similarly, I'm going to put 6 into x plus y. Now, all of these are algebraic expressions, right? So what about doing the following? Let's get blue there. What about this? 2m plus 6 equals 10. This isn't an algebraic expression. In fact, this is an algebraic equation. Let's say m is equal to 6. That's also an equation. 3m plus 4 is equal to 19, or even 2m squared plus 4m minus 6 is equal to 0. All of these are examples of equations, right? And everything you see on the left hand side over here, these are all expressions. Okay, right, so now that we've got a little bit of that out of the way, let's talk about a few things. In an algebraic expression, I want to go back, and do you see this one over here, 2m squared plus 4m minus 6? This is an expression. Let's get a few things out of the way about these expressions. In these expressions, we've got okay, let's start. Oops, my bad. Let's go back. We can't get rid of that. Let's just erase it. In this expression, let's start with this. We've got letters, right? And these letter symbols we call variables. And like I said, this is a crash course. We'll call them variables. They can take on varying values. And then in example, each term, letter symbols equal variables, number one. Number two, let's add something to that. Terms, right? It's a new word I'm introducing. In an expression is separated by plus and minus signs. Okay, do we all see that? Yeah, it's separated by plus and minus signs. So, for example, in the example above, there are three terms. So 2m squared plus 4m minus 6 has three terms. Why? Because we are separating this one from that one and so forth. Okay, and okay, so I've got that out of the way. The plus and the minus signs separate the terms. The letters, symbols, those are variables. Okay, and it's very important to note, and I'm going to put that in red over here, or maybe I should put it in black, that m squared is not equal to m. Okay, m squared is not equal to m because m squared is actually m multiplied by m, which is not, of course, just m on its own. Okay, So let's add a few more things. We got the letter symbols as variables, the terms are separated by a plus and a minus sign, and now that we know what separates terms, let's talk about 2m squared plus 4m minus 6. Let's just use that as an example again. Based on the number of terms, we can categorize these algebraic equations. Based on the number of their terms. So I'm going to put another one over here, 2m squared plus 4m, and then minus 6m. I'm going to use those as three different algebraic equations. Sorry, not equations, algebraic expressions. It is only an equation if you see an equal to sign. Okay, so let's get a red pen in there. This one is called a trinomial, okay, because there are three terms. This one is called a binomial because there are two terms, and this one is a monomial because there's only one term. Now things get a little bit tricky. Let's just draw a line over there, and let me use a blue pen and talk about what about 6 into x plus y. Now this here is what we will call a factored expression. Now any fully factored expression has only one term. Right? But it has two factors, has only one term and two factors. Now when you're talking about factors, which I'm going to explain in a lot more detail in the next video, a factor is basically the things that make up a larger number when multiplied by it. Okay, so I've got this first little 6 over here multiplied by the second. This is my first factor. Okay, and this here is the second factor. But these two factors multiplied by one another has only one term. Here you can see there's one term. Here there are clearly two terms. Here there are three terms. Okay, are we all clear on that? Three terms is a trinomial, two terms is a binomial, and one term is a monomial. Then to be careful when you see things like this here is a factored expression that has only one term. Now let's break it down. I'm going to write that over here, 6 into x plus y again. Here there is one term, right? There's only one term, but there are two factors, and the first factor is 6, and the second factor is x plus y. But the second factor inside the factor has got two terms. Okay, so just be careful about that. This is one factor. We treat it as one thing altogether. Now, this here, one more thing, 6 into x plus y is a monomial because there's only one term, but can be written as 6x plus 6y. That is then a binomial. Okay, and then finally, when we talk about classifying expressions, there's also another word called a polynomial. A polynomial is any expression with two or more terms, right? And then example of those is a binomial and a trinomial. Okay, so I hope that helps. That's the first thing we're talking about. Final terminologies that we just got to work with. We spoke about binomials, monomials, trinomials, a factored expression. I haven't spoken about the degree of a polynomial, which I'll do in a moment. Okay, but before we do so, let's quickly talk about coefficients and variables. Let's take 2m squared plus 4m minus 6. This here, firstly, it has three terms, so it is a polynomial. Okay, and not just any polynomial, it's a special one which we call a trinomial, right? Right. Okay, now the first part over here we already said that the letter symbols, these are variables, right? These are variables. And then this here is what we call a coefficient. It is a coefficient. So the coefficient of 2m squared, okay, let's just put there coefficient of 2m squared. No, sorry. The coefficient, let's just erase that, get rid of that quickly. The coefficient of m squared in 2m squared is 2. Okay, that's a coefficient, that's a variable, and very important, we said that m squared is not equal to m, because this is m times m and this is just m. Okay, right, I think that gives us a little bit of introduction about those things over there. And then finally, the degree of a polynomial is determined by its highest power if there's only one variable. Okay, we're not going to complicate it with multivariable polynomials, so let's look at a few examples. 2m squared plus 4m minus 6, 3m cubed minus 2m squared plus 4m minus 8, 3m to the power of cow minus 2m cow minus 1 plus 8. Right. Okay, so let's talk about the degree. The degree is basically the power of the leading exponent. So the degree of this polynomial is of degree 2. This polynomial over here is of degree 3. And this polynomial over here is of degree cow. Right. Okay. I'm not going to complicate your life by talking about multivariable polynomials and their degrees. For example, if you had 2ab squared plus 4a squared b squared. In fact, I may as well speak about it. The degree of a polynomial where there are more than one variable, it will basically just be the degree of the sum of the powers of the highest. So the degree here, this one is of degree 4, because the sum of the highest power is 2 plus 2. Here the power is 2 plus 1. Okay, here it's 2 plus 2 is 4, so this is degree 4. This is just same variable, it's just m, that is cow, that's cow minus 1, for example, that is 3 and 2, so this is just like cow and cow 1 less. So this is of degree cow, degree 3, degree 2, and this one over here is degree 4, but don't worry too much about this. And that clears all the terminology we have to do with polynomials. Your work will now be worksheets 1 to 4, my bad, worksheets 1 to 3, and in class I expect all the odd numbered exercises, or rather the odd numbered questions. Okay, homework is all the even numbered questions. So let me just double check. Yes, worksheet 1, 2, and 3 will be for now. In the next video we'll tackle the following. We'll speak about products, we'll speak about factors, and then after that we'll talk about algebraic fractions. That's what is in store for us. So please do complete the videos and the exercises on pages worksheets 1 to 3, section A. Okay.